Sorry, we're taking up all your time.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not at all.
Free behind the scenes.
Good to go.
Nose picking boogers.
And speaking of which, welcome to the Austin Wedding Experience podcast. Here I am with Lauren Moffe and Lauren
Licarione.
Lauren Licarione, that's right. Okay, Lauren L. and they both are in their own companies, but they are best friends. You were here today because initially I wanted to have them on. We talked about having you on initially, and you're like, oh, we could just talk for hours about everything. You don't even have to ask us questions. So I knew they were a great choice. The idea was to talk about photography, but they are a photography videography duo, which just works super well because not only that, but they're best friends. They've got the chemistry. So here we are. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Of course, yes. So, I know that we were just talking earlier before the podcast began about when you started back in 2013 and the kind of the whole road there. So we have a bunch of questions for y'all and to start off with to really just get an idea for who y'all's companies are and who they were and who they are today. To start with, can y'all give us the background story of how y'all met and how y'all became friends?
Take it away, Lauren.
Our friend, photographer, Matt Montavlo, we were at a networking event for the Knot, and he comes running up to me and he's like, oh my gosh, you need to come meet this girl. Her name's Lauren. She does photo and video with her sister. Y'all are going to be best friends. And he introduced us, and little did he know, he was right. Like, we became best friends.
She's one of my bridesmaids in my wedding, and we were just on vacation together yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
we do a lot of trips together and for work and for play.
Yeah.
That's-
We're each
We
other's
work
like
together.
go-to, like when we have travel weddings, like it's really great to have somebody that you know will also be really fun to travel with and also be a great worker.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. And y'all done film your entire lives. Both of y'all had early starts to it. As a DJ myself, I got started. I just looked up some YouTube videos. But y'all had a formal education, both of y'all, in really learning the ropes of videography from when y'all started as. Can you kind of give me the background for that whole like beginning of having a camera in your hand, filming your brothers and sisters, making skits and doing videos, the original TikTok, I'm sure.
Definitely the original TikTokers before editing and all those things. So for me, at least, I think I was 10 years old. It's even on camera of me holding a camera for the first time and my dad teaching me how to turn it on and zoom in, zoom out.
Hopefully we can add a clip to the podcast so you can see it below us
It's
or
not
something.
pretty. You won't think it's me. But it's real. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And it just felt like magic. And I have been addicted to cameras since. I have never gotten sick of it. So I just, I have it on camera, just me trying it out. And I was like, I want to do this, And I didn't think of it being a job ever. I never thought you could have a career in it.
Wow.
So, originally I kept going back and forth. My parents are both doctors and they wanted me to become a doctor. And so I kept going back and forth with medical school. And every time I started it, all I could think about was cameras. And I was just like, it wasn't until I was planning my own wedding that I realized that you can make a living off of becoming a photographer or a videographer. And I was like, people get paid to do what I love to do, and I would just do it for free anyways. And so that's just kind of how it started.
That's
my
really cool.
career.
And what camera was that, by the way? Do you remember the camera that you first got?
Not the one that I first got. I still have it. I should have looked at it before. I have all my original cameras at my house.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah. But it was a video camera, and it was just a simple like handheld, a small one. Just a tiny little zoom in and zoom out, probably 4 megapixels or something, or 2. I don't know. You can't see anything.
4x3 format.
Yeah. You can't see anything indoors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved doing it, and I loved making my brother and sister, do little videos. I would be constantly directing them. Okay, do this, do that, and then I would shake the camera and make it a scary movie all of a sudden. And then I would do editing. I wanted to do magic, so I would like stop the camera and then switch out my brother for my sister, behind a blanket or something, and then press record, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm an editor.
That is really cool and original.
Yeah. So again, original TikToker. Yeah.
But you, Lauren L., was it the similar kind of background as well? Having other people perform in skits or anything like that at home? How did it start for you?
Yeah, same thing. Like my dad, he also my dad's mom had a video camera growing up and was always filming, and then my dad would do it, and we had a running joke. He would start every videotape with, and today's date is, because back then, like, they didn't have the date on the camera or anything like that.
Yeah.
So he'd start it. And so he would film everything, all of us as kids. And then I started doing it. And then especially with my cousins, and we would put on skits. We would put on a movie. We put on It Takes Two, and then literally reenact it as it's going on. And I'm filming it. And like, yeah, we just do all those. It was the exact same as you were growing up.
Yeah,
And
I made my brother and sister constantly like, okay, now we're going to do this thing. You know, everybody go outside and do this and this.
Yep.
Were y'all both the older sister as well? In the
Yeah.
so cool.
Why
Of course, y'all are
surprised?
best friends. I know.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even ask the question.
Yeah.
That's really cool because I was so curious, and we talked about this a little bit before the episode began. But like, what original cameras and devices that y'all use? I remember growing up, and when the iPhone came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this thing like does more than have like 2 colors on it. This is insane. But today, kids have it so much easier. You have the ability not only to have quality 4K video on your
4K,
iPhone,
8K,
whatever it is now, right?
60 frames,
Yeah.
120 frames.
Yeah, doing
It's
slow-mo.
like, this is cheating.
And then like
not-
each app has its own editing tool in it
Yeah.
too, so you can easily download many
You can
different
have
types.
templates and
Yes,
things that
templates.
just like straight up do it for you. And I'm like, this is getting so easy.
It
you
really.
know?
Well, can you kind of for the videographers who are nerding out on this episode, can you kind of give us an idea for the original maybe camera equipment or editing software that Joe might have used? What was the back end of it all like?
Well, when I went to A&M, I worked for 12th Man Productions there, and we used the big old cameras like Panasonic, and I did
shoulder ones.
The shoulder ones, and I was the wireless camera for football games. So I had the backpack as well as the camera. It was like 70 pounds of equipment. And it was me and
Such a badass.
I know.
It was so
it was,
cool.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But yeah, there would have to be 2 of us, and we'd trade out every quarter because it was so much work. But we used Avid as the editing software, and it was definitely a bulkier type of editing than what we can do now, of like streamline. I use Premiere now.
Final Cut Pro X, but I think that we definitely used Avid for sure too, and that's just, I don't know, pretty extreme. Not
I've
doing a
actually
feature
never
film.
heard of that editing software.
Avid.
It's
That's
for
what we learned in school.
Yeah, it's for
too.
big production, like a lot of
Like movies. Yeah.
They use it. It's because it's also has offsite storage, and so you can be working on a project from multiple computers. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's.
Wow.
But
So-
then I taught
Very
myself
detailed.
Final Cut, and then I switched to Premiere.
Yep.
So that's such a great segue into my other question was going to be, when you were a part of A&M and the whole sports, was it you were doing different videos for different sports teams at A&M?
Yeah, it was kind of cool. It's a whole student run. Now, what's crazy is I've gone back and visited, and what's cool is the guys that worked with me that were student workers are now the directors of it and running the program. And so they worked their way up. And
Wild.
Yeah, and what I loved was they taught us everything. So we went from rolling cables to shooting events to producing to technical director, which that's the person sitting at the helm going, okay, stand by camera one, you're up. Stand by camera two are up. Yeah. So we did not only the live events of it, but as well as like I traveled with the women's soccer team, the women's volleyball team. And so each sport had 2 students assigned to it, and we would travel with the teams. We would film each game, and then we would make highlight films. And then at the end of the season, we would create their whole kind of marketing or promotional video, write a script, all that the teams then use to get recruits.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And because of you, now they're in the SEC.
Yeah, exactly. All because of me.
Yeah, that is so awesome. That's a really cool experience. But what is the coolest? Do you have like a moment that happened when you were filming that was the coolest memory?
So one of my favorites was being wireless camera was for the football games was I would then get to be down right in front of the team right before they came out.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
yeah, and they would always have the 12th man is going to lead the team out. And there was, during my time there was several amazing 12th man. All the 12th man, like it's chosen by the student athletes. And what was so cool was like being like, and I'll be like, okay, I'll tell you when to go, and like you get the crowd hyped up, and then being in that moment was like nothing.
Oh my gosh, especially in that stadium, I can't imagine.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, but this was before it was like renovated, but still like
Yeah,
it was
that's
yeah.
Kyle Field.
Kyle Field is like no other experience.
Well, that's really cool to hear. And of course, like did you go to college with the intention of
No. So when I started at A&M, I was on applied exercise physiology, which was going to be for being a sports trainer. Then I learned I am not good at science. And I cried my way through biology class my freshman year. And I was like, went to my advisor, I was like, I need to change. So I switched over to sport management. And then my freshman year, I was reading an article on 12th Man on Campus magazine, and it was interviewing the director. Is like, hey, if you like sports and you like behind the scenes, like come interview for a position. I went in, I had the only experience I had was like growing up as a kid with a camera, and went in, interviewed, and they're like, we'll teach you everything. And then I worked there for 4 years, and then from there I was going to go into sports and work in sports TV like ESPN or anything. Then I had a change of heart in my senior year and decided to work for nonprofits for a little bit. But yeah, so.
It just a random path. And the same way for you, Lauren, and you were like initially thinking you were going to be doing medicine, was it? And then you somehow, tell us the story of how that happened.
I don't know.
And then you came out with a BS in digital media production.
Well, then you were in LA. And
Yeah. So where do I begin? Okay.
Oh gosh, here we go.
No. Okay. So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm going to become a doctor. That's, what I was meant to do. I did like math and science. I don't know how we're friends, but I'm just kidding. So I did that. And then, like I said, I just kept thinking about cameras. So I kept, trying to refer back to my dad's like, you can't make a job out of, being a photographer. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Whatever. So
look at you now.
I know. He's regretted that since.
Oh.
He's like, I am sorry. He's like, you can make a career. You're doing fine. But yeah, I just had a change of heart when I was in school and just kept thinking about cameras. And I was like, why am I trying? Like, I'm with a patient right now. I should be thinking about them. But I did end up starting an internship with a company called Opera Communications. And so we did infomercials, and they were based out of Chicago. And we shot in Missouri and where I'm from. And so I loved that.
And was that during college as well?
That was during college. Okay. I was an intern. And that's where it just really just like blew up for me. I was like, this is cool, And so we had a big studio, all the big cameras, all the producers and stuff. And we had flying in talent. And so my first job, I remember, was ironing their shirts. And so to this day, I am really good friends with those, the talent that came in. And so I've shot
so good at ironing.
I was.
She got it.
No,
down.
this is what happened. I didn't know how to iron a shirt. And so the talent came in, and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm trying to iron your shirt. And he's like, I'll show you. And then he showed me how. And so that's how we had that friendship. And so I loved it, but I was so sick of doing scripts, like over and over, the same scripts for infomercials. And so I got a job at the Ellen DeGeneres show. And so,
no way.
Well, here, hold on. Let me finish.
Okay.
So I got my internship with the Ellen DeGeneres show. I go there day one, and they're like, did you graduate college? And I was like, yeah, I just graduated 2 weeks ago. And they're like, oh, well, you have to be in college, so we have to take you off. And I was like, what? No, like, this is my dream. I want to work for Ellen, all these things. And sure enough, they took me off, and the next person's on their they have their job. So I worked right across the street at on the lot.
Uh-huh.
And so I would just make her coffee and her oatmeal every morning. So yeah, I did that, and then I realized maybe film isn't really for me because of the long hours, and you're not confirmed to work right after that job and things like that. So I was like, I love it, but this still isn't for me, and even I went from scripts to, shows, and I moved to Austin unexpectedly on a whim. And then I was like, okay, I want to film weddings. And so my first one was on Craigslist. I found somebody on Craigslist.
Wow.
I hate admitting it. I did it for free. And I was like, look, I want to see if I can do this.
Yeah.
And so the lady's like, hey, I'm looking for a videographer, photographer. And I was like, I'll do it all, And so I did it, and it was the hardest day of my life. It was very, very hot out here.
That first wedding,
And then you're like,
I remember mine.
This is hot. But that's how I knew I loved it. Was like I did it for free. It was the hardest wedding of my life, and I wanted to do more. You know, so
Wow.
little by little, I started charging. I was like, oh my God, people are paying me. Yeah. And so, I mean, the equipment's expensive,
Oh,
you know,
yes,
and
yes.
like your time is expensive too. So, you know, it got to me to where I am now, and I'm super grateful for that. But yeah, that's kind of how it started.
That's so interesting. And so we were talking earlier. Lauren L. she lived in Austin her entire life. Then you chose to move here
For no reason.
And then
don't ask me. There's no reason.
Dart on the board, huh?
Yep. Exactly.
Best
I heard
decision
it was
ever.
a cool, like I was moving from Los Angeles. I thought I was living in Beverly Hills in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. I thought I could move to Austin and live really well. I was wrong. I was really wrong. It's so expensive.
No one would have
here.
guessed. No one would have
Yeah.
guessed at the
No.
time.
So yeah. But yeah.
That's
yeah.
a really cool background story right there. But you know, kind of looking back too, to like kind of deciding to take digital film production. You said it already. Your dad didn't think it was going to work out, but it did pan out, obviously, and things changed along the way. Are there any lessons that both of y'all took from college that really just you're like, I still use that to this day, or I learned this and it really impacted the way I approach my business?
My bosses at A&M were amazing, and they were ones that they were never above doing a task, and their leadership. And that's what I was like, I really appreciated their leadership and showing, like, our boss would get out there and roll cables after a football game because he was like, you know, like, you're all are having to do this. I'm going to come and help you, you know. And that's where I learned that. I think that was the biggest lesson I learned.
Wow.
And to take that into anytime I'm leading a group or just in general in life is like never to be above a task. So like, especially on wedding days, like, I will go and hold a bride's dress up so she can pee. Like
yeah.
I'll go and help a DJ like set up or grab mic. Like I'm not above any task because we're all in this together to create a great experience for a couple.
Yeah, I think same as her, at least for me, it was like during my internship times, my bosses respected my thoughts a lot. They brought me into meetings and they were like, we want your opinion, you know, and they waited until I gave, and I was very shy. You know, I didn't like being on the side of the camera or anything. And they sat there and they waited, like, we want your opinion on things. And like having that respect gave me a lot of confidence too.
That's really awesome. And it was a bunch of like script writing and figuring out different things that I can't even comprehend as a DJ probably. But it's so cool to me to know that like y'all started off in such a professional setting, because like I said, I was in school for the other reasons of biology and stuff, and then we found our pathway this way. And it's kind of like, okay, you know, even though I wasn't learning about DJing at the time or weddings, like you do take away those overarching lessons. That's really cool to hear. You know, when you do start out initially and things are kind of rolling, you got people paying you. Were you hesitant? Did you think at any point in time did your confidence like wane and thinking, oh my gosh, this might not pan out for me continuously? Or were you like updating that resume on the side to make sure just in case? Or did you know and have the confidence that it was going to work?
For me, I've had. This sounds bad. I mean, I've had nothing but confidence.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Because like this is what I love, and I'm a huge believer in doing what you love. And when you really do what you love, you're going to be successful, and you're going to be happy no matter what. It's not so much really about the money. Like the money will come, but the fact is that I'm so happy with my job that like I don't have to work. You know, I really don't feel like I have to work. Like I'm going to go have fun. You know, it happens that I'm getting paid to do it. You know what I mean? So for me, that's
Same.
Yeah.
Is it the same for you as well, though?
Yeah. I truly enjoy it. And I never really thought about like, oh, okay, if this doesn't work out. It was just
it's not an option.
Yeah. That was, I think that it's like, and also I think being like women, we're kind of really independent women, like strong-willed.
Yeah.
And we're like strong-willed, and so the thought of like, no, we're gonna do this and we're gonna make it happen, and
Yeah, there's just no other choice.
Of course,
You
yeah.
know? And I was like a single mom at the time, raising my two boys, and I was like, no, this is this is my job. This is what I'm gonna.
And so you were doing it solo. It was a giant undertaking, but you had your sister as well, Marissa of ML Photo and Film, of course.
Yeah.
But when y'all started out, was it like y'all had an idea and y'all thought of it and you said we're gonna do it? Like the determination was just there to get it done.
Yeah, and that was also what was nice. Marissa, like she's very driven, and so she was good about like getting us going and getting the business going and driving it, and building of like just each year building, getting better, like whether it be business wise, whether it be camera wise, any of that. And then she was like, I'm tired of this Texas heat, being born and raised here. She's like, I'm going to go to Colorado. And we did.
Don't blame her.
Yeah. Especially today, like 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And we did that time where we would travel back and forth between Texas and Colorado doing weddings. And what's funny is all my Texas photographer, videographer friends are like, oh my gosh, you get to go to Colorado and do it. And I'm like, no. Let me tell you how it is. Because they're a lot of work, because out in mountains and multiple locations, and they're really great couples. It's a very exhausting day. And then just now traveling, like pre-COVID, flying back and forth was no issue. Now it's like, if I have a Colorado wedding, I'm booking 2 flights, like
wow.
because I don't trust that my flight is going to get there. So I always have a backup flight.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So you obviously do deal with both markets then, Denver and here in Austin. Are there any like major differences that you would say like exist in the wedding scene here and there?
No, that's what's actually kind of nice, is that the market is very similar. The couples are very similar. The couples actually also in Colorado, they're very chill. Like they are pretty outdoorsy, want to be out in the doors. And so the one biggest difference is they don't really do exits in Colorado weddings. Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
Controversial.
Yeah. They'll just end the reception at a certain time, but not really have an exit.
Wow, that is cool. That is cool. That is, I always think about how, and we talked about this in the last episode as well, how Austin has like dedicated venues for weddings. Does that exist in Denver as well, or not really? It's most hotels.
There's a couple.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's only a handful of actual wedding venues in like Denver area, and not even out in the mountains. There's not dedicated wedding venues. You are at a ski lodge. You have like. That's also what's hard is like, so the bride will get ready at one place, the groom or bride will get ready another. And so they're separate, and then they'll do a first look halfway up the mountain, and you have to take a gondola, and then they have the ceremony up on the mountain, and then they'll have the reception either up there or down in the city. And so it's a lot of, I've learned to adapt, and also learned what equipment I have to have for a wedding day. Like Colorado weddings, you cannot be bringing extra equipment because you're lugging it everywhere.
Oh, for sure. And that's so interesting to me too, because both of y'all started out in videography, and then of course y'all adapted to have photo as well. What was it that made y'all decide to want to have that transition? Was that y'all just wanted to carry more equipment everywhere? Or
Actually, less.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really?
photos way less.
Way less equipment.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and way less editing, to a sense. So for me, at least, people kept asking. They were like, do you do photo? I was like, I better learn how to do photo. So I went to school and went back to school and figured it out. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I love it, though. People ask me all the time, do you like photo or video? And it's hard because I like the transition of both of them. So, I don't want to get sick of photo. I don't want to get sick of video. So having them just keeps it fresh.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And then your sister was the one doing the photo from the team. And so obviously y'all are getting requests for photo a lot because people think, okay, I need my photographer number one for my wedding. But do people generally reach out for videography and not think of them together as one unit? Do they say, I just want video or I just want photo?
Sometimes if they've already booked photo, then I'll get requests for just video.
Yeah. I've had some times where they book video first. Personally, to me, I mean, I'm biased, of course, but I think video is more important. You feel that way? I feel like you can capture like the laughs.
I feel like a jerk saying it because I do video. But,
no, that's I do both.
But I think because video, you get to hear people. You get to
see their movements, see how bad their dance moves are. No, just kidding. No, you get to hear the vows, and like for me, pictures are like pretty and something you can put like on your wall. But for a video, that's something that you pass down for generations, and you can hear your voices, how you cried, how you laughed, how you danced, things like that. And it really brings back the emotion for it. It makes you feel like you were there. So it's good for people that weren't able to make it, wanted to, or people that did go that want to relive that again, or people that didn't go and you want to make them feel bad for not going. I don't know. Just kidding.
And nowadays you have reels and these shorter videos. You don't have to watch the whole video. You can just have
make that short little clip that you're like, I want more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I love that.
So true. And really, people have like in their mind, I feel like a lot of times, almost a bias against video. They're like, okay, well, it's it's video. Do y'all find yourselves almost like
Having
telling
to
people
sell.
like be like, listen, like you really want this, or
I
do you
hate
do you
doing
leave it
that
alone?
because like I feel like I'm trying to sell them, but I'm trying to do it from like a genuine
course,
point
yeah,
of
yeah,
view.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I just be like, I would never want to miss out on that. Like that would be my number one thing. And I just kind of share my feelings with them just because I don't want them to regret anything. You know, I think isn't that the bride's number one regret is not having a videographer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so I know even from your backstory that we were talking about before that your parents had a big impact on the way that you looked at video because you had those things from when you were a kid. Do you ever share that story or let people know of that history?
Yeah, and video just in general for us is like extra special because my dad passed away when I was 16 from ALS. And so we have hundreds of tapes of him, and actually just during COVID finally had time where I got them digitized, and I hadn't seen I haven't seen this video, and to hear him, I'm like, I had forgotten what his voice sounded like because it's been 20 something years since he's passed, and to hear his voice and then to watch him like being with us, and it just makes it extra special. And
Probably like you see a lot of similarities in how you are and like how he was too.
Because I had a
cool.
kid last year, and so seeing like the things he would say, and now I like say it to my son, like not even realizing.
That's pretty
but
cool.
it just makes it extra special. And this was like getting ahead of schedule of like, but I know one of your questions is like, like one of those, that's a wedding memory that won't forget. For me, it was this wedding where we had the bride contacted us and was like, hey, my dad got diagnosed with cancer. We're moving our wedding up. And we're like, cool. And they're like, when are you available? And we were like, we'll be available whenever, like, let us know. And they originally were only going to get photo. And Marissa and I talked, and we're like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to do video for them, like, because this is going to be something like they're going to want to remember. And it was one of the coolest wedding days where there was some sadness because we knew they were getting married early because of this, but there was just so much joy. And then to be able to like capture all this joy and celebration and and sure enough, her dad passed a couple months after their wedding. And she'll still email us like on their anniversary and be like, like we look back and like to have those moments with my dad on film is just amazing.
Priceless.
It's priceless.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That story gave me goosebumps. That is so cool that you had the foresight to say this is going to be so important to you down the line. I'm going to do it for you regardless if you say yes
that's
or no.
what I walk into a wedding day and I tell my couples, like, yes, I'm focusing on all those big moments, but I'm also focusing on all those little in-between moments of you talking with your grandma, you talking to your grandpa, your dad, like your sisters, like all your family and friends, because like you don't know like if this is going to be
That's happened plenty. I mean, so many times where I'll film and then they'll be like, I'm so grateful. I've had people please meet up with me. I met up with them and they'd be crying, giving me like cards and stuff. Like, I'm so grateful that you did video because so-and-so passed. And, that video means everything to us. And it happens at least every year, where people unexpectedly pass. And that's the one chance you have everyone you love in one room, so take advantage of it,
Oh, for sure. And that we said this in the first episode too, how important it is to just have something there. Like and I did a wedding recently where they didn't have any photo, any video, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, you're gonna like just like leave this up to memory and not have any like recollection of the day, just iPhone photos.
I'm like, at least I hope somebody was taking iPhone photos.
Yeah, and to each their own, of course, but I value it too. I had a very similar kind of growing up where me and my cousin would create films and we did the whole camera thing too. So I definitely see how cool that might have been, especially in relation to how much it impacts everyone's feelings today on it all. But
and don't forget, Nick, we also had that. And this isn't a wedding. This is actually a mitzvah that we did. It was like, I think it was my first mitzvah that we did where you.
Oh yes. That's a great story too, for sure.
Story.
Yeah, we did a mitzvah, and this is when I began, maybe in 2012, and I did a mitzvah for a wonderful family and the Zaltzman, and we had a great time. And I remember at the end of the night, like the girl was up on stage and she was like acting like she's DJing, and everyone's having a great time. So we have videos of all this happening, and unfortunately, she was in a car accident. She got Yeah, it was a terrible situation that happened, and then following up later on, her younger sister had a mitzvah, and they had me back for that, and it was just like we got to make them get them to have fun, but have those memories and have those moments. We still are in contact today, and that was when he first met the whole family as well, and it was just he got to do the video for them, and it was a very impactful moment.
And I wasn't even booked again, like the same thing. I wasn't even booked to do it at all, and I actually went for it because it hit Nick really hard too. And Nick was like, "Hey, I just need you to be there in case because this hit me kind of hard." And I was like, "I'm gonna bring my camera and just in case see." And I made a fun video for them. I made a little teaser, and they were
so happy.
They were like, "If we wish we would have had something like this for our other daughter." And like I actually ended up shooting the mother's sister's wedding.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
later on.
Shout out Lori.
And after the wedding, I will never forget this. I've told him that before. I had a moment after the wedding because of course during the pictures and it's getting to her because every family event's gonna be hard, and there's nothing you're just gonna feel those emotions. So I had this beautiful moment with the mother from the mitzvah, and I asked her, I was like, "Tell me about her." I just know. And then we both sat there and just shared a moment, and we both cried, and it was just a lot. And I was like, this is why we do what we do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
That's the best part of my job is being able to, capture those memories for those people. Those, my fear is like having like regrets and not being able to like remember because I have both family that has Alzheimer's.
Yeah, same thing.
And so I'm like, I want as many videos and photos of everyone. And I'm kind of obsessed and have a problem with it. But
it's a good problem.
But it's a good problem. Like, and then you never regret taking those videos. You know what I mean? You never regret taking photos.
She's the best person to like go anywhere with. Go on vacation because she was like constantly
always.
like,
I've got your whole life recorded.
Well, this was further in my script, but I think it's something really to talk about is that a lot of your bios on multiple, your website talk about your commitment, and I'll read it here so I don't get it wrong, but a commitment to professionalism, dignity, and sensitivity to individual needs. So if you put that everywhere, obviously it means that you do like really value those things. I take it very
seriously.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yep, I do. And the professionalism, like I'll say, is just because like you can be really good at something, but if you're not professional and you can't even like you dress professionally and like can't really read a room, I think we're really good at reading a room too. Like if they're having like a moment and you need to step out, you need to step out. Or if like they need someone to make them laugh a little bit, like lighten up the mood, then we're your girls. Yeah.
No, I think that's so important. You gotta I always think like when I think of you, I think of fun. I think of who you'd want to have at your wedding, and that's what I want. I don't want someone just
fun.
Shy. I want to work with other vendors too that have the same energy.
Yeah, I take that as I'm very prideful of that. I think that a lot of my brides and grooms, they think of me as like a friend now. So they have a lot of fun. That's my main job is like if they aren't having fun, then it's really awkward and the pictures are going to turn out bad. So I want to make sure you're having fun. You guys are in love. I'm just obsessed with love and people being obsessed with each other and stuff. So I think it's really sweet, and I just want to make sure I get all that, captured. And then a lot of the times I like it when they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know you got that." Things like that.
That's really the best compliment.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or even sometimes, especially as video, because like photo, I kind of like, I let the photographer kind of take control of the day of like where they want to, and then I step back and film. And there's been times where they're like, I didn't even know you were there. And I'm like, yes. Like, I know that's weird, but like, I'm like, yes. Like,
stealth mode.
Yeah. Like,
you just want to be the fly on the wall, just like step back. Because people act weird when there's cameras in their faces.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So we'll take out our long lenses and get you from far away and get how you really are.
You're real
who you really are.
Oh my gosh. But so then, of course, like weddings is the primary moment that a lot of these things, and this is our industry, of course, but are there any other like life events that you think like, oh, I love doing these as well, these mean a lot, or it's like meaningful work to you because of what it is? Does anything like that come to mind?
I I mean, I feel like this has been kind of morbid, but like, I feel like the ones that mean the most, I mean, I love weddings. Like, that's so much fun to me. But the ones that like mean the most and that mean the most to the clients are like the end of life or legacy videos, you know, that they know that they have a terminal illness. And the ones that, you know, are really sad are the moms that are really, really young, or the children that, you know, and so I've done that too, where I heard about a family that their kid is going through, what's that called? Make-A-Wish and stuff like that. And so I'll go up to them and ask them if they want to do a video. And with those videos, they've helped raise a lot of awareness. They've helped raise money for the family and stuff. So it's helped other families from that one video. And then they have that video to cherish those moments with their kids and just being themselves and what they would normally be like at home life. You know, so those are the videos that I'll never forget and mean a lot to me too.
Gosh,
You know?
that is
Yeah.
really cool. Is there anything else too? I just don't know.
Yeah, no, I'll work with different nonprofits and make films for them to help like with raising money. And I worked with the Austin Women and Children's Shelter and got to interview some of the women for that, and just hearing their stories and what you think a homeless person is, you know, and what's like the reality, and just just hearing their stories and then wanting to just help everyone.
Yeah. We get to meet a lot of really cool people, a lot of really cool, inspiring people to us too.
Yeah.
So our job is never boring.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
It's, every day is different.
Yeah,
and it's
that's what is
exciting
fun,
and-
is like we can adapt it as well. Like we just did a conference. We filmed it was for Watermark, but it's a software. Like I sat there, I got to learn so much about this
App
like
or-
whatever the software is that helps teachers, and
we got to meet teachers and
got to
you
meet
know, all
teachers,
those-
and we filmed
professors
like interviews and like the clients talking about how much it's been helpful in their life. So like even
like
just
the
filming
most
a software-
boring thing,
Yeah.
you know, you still get to meet and get
just-
educated and things
and
like
meet
that,
the
so.
people, and just they were so nice.
That's so cool, and I think it's really fortunate for photographers and videographers as well that y'all can just take your equipment anywhere. You can put it on a plane. You can go wherever you need to. As a DJ, I have to figure out logistics of speakers, and I just don't do it because it sounds so daunting for me to do. But y'all do have the ability to not only go different places, but utilize your skill set in such a diverse way. I love it. That sounds so cool, and I didn't even think about this
But
before.
that's one of my favorite things to do too, is like go to unexpected people, and like, because I'll bring my camera with me everywhere on every vacation and stuff. And then I'll always, every time I'm on a vacation, I'm like, I want to go ask them if I could do a photo shoot with them. And so, and it's funny because like I used to do that all the time. And then I saw some people do it on TikTok, and I was like, I'll record it and see what happens. And that was like my number one video on TikTok. Like,
Also, by the
people
way,
love
she's
that
kind
stuff.
of a big deal on
Not-
TikTok.
not
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah. She has like hundreds of thousands of followers.
No, I do
Or
not.
you've had
Stop.
millions of views.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like,
Well, I mean,
several
this is my
thousand.
job, and it's funny because like I do it for fun, and so why not upload it? And people enjoyed it, so
No, for
you know?
sure. I feel like the reason I'm surprised is because TikTok seems to be like one of those things where you don't share your profile unless it's like the professional one you're showing. You know,
Oh,
so
no.
Yeah, no.
so you
I
got a
made
good
two.
one. You got,
Yeah, and my personal one is the one that's doing well.
Didn't even realize that. Well, that is really cool. I got to check it out then
Yep.
because these videos are viral. I definitely would love to
there's
see
some
them.
good ones.
Yeah.
But to kind of flip side to when y'all got started in Austin, here comes 2013. Y'all are beginning to do your work independently. I'm not sure when y'all met up. What year was that, do you think?
I'm
I
trying
think
to.
we've been friends for 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
y'all got here. Do you remember what the scene was like when y'all started? Obviously, Yelp was the main like place that we were getting our reviews on. There was Craigslist where you got your first gig from. There was MapQuest because we had to print out our directions to drive to the venue.
Yeah.
What was this? Do you remember anything? Any memories from that time frame when you got started that come to mind?
I mean, there just wasn't as much like community.
Yeah.
For photographers and videographers in the wedding, industry. I feel like now, I don't know how it is in other cities, but I feel like in Austin, we're very close. Everybody knows each other and things
And
like
in
that.
a good way.
Yeah,
Oh,
in
yeah.
a great way. We're all
Yeah.
helping each other
Yeah.
out. We're all friends,
Yeah.
things like that. So, but what about you? Do you?
No, I mean, I know we started advertising on the Knot,
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
That was
I feel like
how
there's
we-
a lot more people in the industry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
A
yeah.
lot more. Way
lot
more
more.
vendors.
Organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah, organizations,
Uh,
venues.
yeah, review
now-
websites.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
many different
Yeah.
things. I
Yeah.
feel like it's just blown up. Like you think about the first group that I knew was ILEA, which what we kind of mentioned earlier, but the Knot was also one of the major players in the game. Then nowadays you have other organizations out there that are so popular. You have Brides of Austin, you have Zola, you have even Austin Wedding Planners. Yes, so many big groups that this scene wasn't there back in 2012 of trying to find community at least. And that's where I'm really just like, it gives me so much joy to know that like everyone's friends, like y'all have so many friends, and the people that y'all work with are all like, okay, if I need to back up a second shooter, then I'm calling my best friend over here, and I know that they're going to do a great job for me.
That's what's also been amazing, and especially through COVID, and because I've had a time where like my second shooter texted me that morning, and he's like, I am deathly ill, and like luckily I know it's like he's on death's bed if he's not showing up, and so I immediately started sending out texts, and Brian with Burn the Bear was like, I'm available, and I was like, oh praise, and it's like
he saved me a lot.
Oh, really?
Oh, Brian!
Shout out Brian!
Shout out Brian! He is a gem.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, we'll do the same thing for each other. She'll be like, hey, emergency. Oh my gosh, I had an emergency, and I messaged her, and she's like, calm down. Okay, here's my list. You know, like, and so we do the same thing, and then like she'll blast them out, I'll blast them out for her. You know, that kind of thing. So we help each other out because that's like both of our worst nightmares, and we both have been in that position, and you know, want to help each other out.
And it really, like, y'all could have been competitors. Y'all could have been fierce competitors out
we
there.
Are. Who said we aren't?
Okay.
No, we definitely,
So what was it? It was back to that not meeting that really made sure that y'all were solidified the friendship.
Yeah, and it was, I guess over time, it was just like a lot of trust. Like I was like, okay, you know, ask her questions, and there's no gatekeeping. You know, we tell how our business plan is. We're telling each other details, like, and and you know, it's to help each other out. You know, and so a lot of trust was built on top of that. And then we started traveling together. Like we worked together here. Then she would bring me to Chicago. I'd bring her to Mexico, and we'd work on different trips and stuff like that there. And there's just a lot of trust was built from that.
Wow. So just helping each other out, whether it be videography or photography or editing, maybe. Huh? There's so many things that y'all have that connection for. That's really cool. And especially because like y'all started in videography and you're moving more or less towards more photo of things. Does it just feel like a natural pairing?
It worked out. It definitely worked out because you know, she's sticking with video, and I've booked more photo jobs, and a lot of people want the the duo. So I'm like, I know a girl. Yeah. You know? and then a lot of times we work with another Lauren, so it's 3 Laurens.
3 Laurens.
And so
there's been one day where there were 5 Laurens.
Yeah.
I think I was there that day. Was that
it was
at
pretty recently.
Hotel?
There was Horseshoe Bay. That one was kind of recently.
But there was one. I wasn't at that one, but it was second shooter Lauren.
Hotel Ella? Was it Hotel Ella?
Probably. I mean, it happens a lot. It's not like they just ran out of names in the 80s. So,
What was it? Okay, sorry, I got distracted by the noise. But essentially, you know, y'all had this whole time frame happen, and in 2013 all the way to 2020 was when kind of things changed up. Did the 2020 pandemic or anything impact y'all's business, or did things keep flowing smoothly? How was it during that time?
It infected my business. Everything was off. You know, everything was off until September 2020. I had a wedding that stuck with it, and that was wild. I don't know if you guys are the same. I think you were with me at Hotel Proper. It was their first wedding.
Yeah. That was a wild.
Yeah, people hadn't seen people in a long
Proper
time.
Hotel.
The Proper Hotel. People hadn't seen each other in a long time, and it was like the biggest group. I think Austin was the first, or Texas was the first state to open up. And so they took advantage of that.
Yeah. The shirts came off on the groom and groomsmen within the second song on the dance floor.
I hate that I said the name of the hotel, but you know, they didn't have their food come out in time. And so there was no food, and there was just alcohol.
Wasted.
Wow. Wow.
It was a great party. It was awesome.
Great photos.
Yes.
Great video.
Incredible.
The couple was amazing. Had a blast. Yeah.
But unforgettable moment when that happened.
Absolutely unforgettable.
So it was a wild time during the pandemic, to say the least.
Yeah.
But somehow you still managed to pull, and was it 2021 and 2022 the ILEA Award for Best Photographer Videographer?
Yeah.
That is so cool. That is really amazing.
Yeah, I was shocked. I don't know. I was very shocked. I was like, I don't know how this voting happens or who voted, but thanks. Yeah.
I still don't know either, but can you tell us kind of the, like, what do you think got your company to that level where you were operating at such a high caliber?
I mean, I want to say, I know that all those vendors that were like nominated, they were all very worthy. You know, they are all very worthy. I think I just have been in the industry a long time, and I respect.
And you're just awesome.
I respect
And an amazing human.
everyone that was, you know, in the, you know, industry, and you know, I have a lot of respect for them. And I just love my job. I honestly, I don't know what else to say other than I love my job. I think it kind of shows how obsessed I am. Like, even when I'm not working, I have my camera around all the time, you know. So I think it was just a reflection of that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the reason
Yeah.
why I think
And just you're an amazing human. Like everyone, yeah. you just like
compliments.
Go on. Stop.
Keep it coming.
That is really cool.
This is why we're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you think about all kind of the experiences leading up to winning the awards even, and back to college and doing these productions as well, what advice would you give to videographers or photographers that are maybe, you know, still kids, maybe they're in college, or maybe people that are thinking of entering the industry? Is there any advice that you'd want to give?
My biggest advice is 100% internships.
Internships.
Like, do internships, do it unpaid, you know, do it paid, that's great too. But I think if you really want to, then you will do it unpaid, and you'll see how hard it is if it's for you. You'll see lots of different directions that you could take with it. So for me, I think internships is like the best thing you can do. Those are where I learned a lot, you know, and then jobs come from that too.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and you're getting real life experiences, you know, real life situations where things don't go as planned.
And I think too, it's really something to say is like so unique and definitely different, because like for me, I love doing this so much. Like I absolutely love doing weddings. I love like just seeing it. I get emotional at the ceremony myself. So knowing that other people out there have this passion for it, it's like I know a lot of people that are the opposite, where they don't have the passion for it and it doesn't work out, or they're like, oh my gosh, maybe after, you know, one bad wedding, they're just completely done with it. And it is a long road to get to where you were today, but it really is a testament to saying, oh, you just enjoy this. This is just your passion.
Yep.
And Lauren, is that the same thing for you as well, with kind of the whole flow of
Yeah, it is a lot of work. Like wedding days are long. They're hard. It's not saying that like we love it. Like I absolutely love it, but it's exhausting. And the next day you have a wedding hangover where you didn't drink anything, but feels like you did. But yeah, just like I would say for me, or, you know, I would tell them, focus on doing it your way, like not trying to chase a trend or something, and really put your couples first. Like they're your priority, and telling their story and, you know, catering to your couple and finding, you know, like what the couples you really gel with.
Yeah, I think that's where some people kind of go wrong, is that they focus so much on themselves for video and what their art is and what they want them to be, that they're not focusing on, this is not a styled shoot. This is someone's wedding day. You know, this is the most important day of their life. Don't go and be directing them and say, do it again, do it again, do it again. That is not a wedding day, unless that's what the couple wants.
Yeah.
You are there to film what the couple wants, you know, and if you are supposed to be a fly on the wall, then you be that fly on the wall. You know, this is their wedding day that you are capturing, and every style is going to be different, because not every couple's the same, you know. So I think that's really important if you're going to do weddings, to focus on the couple, because that is your boss.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
are not. I mean, like I said, you know, if the couple says like, we want you to direct us and do it in your style, then go for it. You know.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is when I hear a video, and it's specifically for video. It doesn't really happen with photo, but for video is when I hear a videographer say like, oh, they refuse to do personal vows, or they're refusing to do a first look. How am I supposed to tell their story? I'm like, it's their
That's
wedding
their wedding
day.
day.
Yeah, you tell their story. Like if they
It's
don't want
not
to do any
your
of this,
wedding.
yeah,
It's
this
not
is their
your video. You know,
And I'll guide couples of, you know, with first looks. Like it's definitely
this is more attractive, you know,
yeah,
than having
like-
the sun in your face.
Yeah, well,
you
you
know.
want to. It's like if it's a winter wedding, usually first looks are a little bit better because like light and everything. But like if you don't want to do a first look, cool. Like let's not do one. You know, it's your day.
Absolutely.
Right. It's definitely important for them to rely on your experience whenever that's needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but when you're not trying to inject your opinion.
So this is a great kind of segue to something that just popped into my mind. I, as a DJ, love first looks because they get to enjoy cocktail hour. If we have like any musicians, they get to actually listen to the music and not be doing their thing. I am always pushing to do a first look, but as photographer, videographer, how do y'all feel about it?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes.
I love them personally in the fact that it gives a couple a moment together on their wedding day. That's for me is like what I love is like they get that moment of just relaxing, like talking to each other, all this.
Having that moment for themselves. Not for
everybody.
everybody. You know, in front of everybody, it's a lot more stress. You know, it's a lot more like nerves, and like as soon as they see each other they calm down, and then they have that moment, just the two of them. It's just really nice and more intimate, I think.
Oh, for sure. I love it so much. Just seeing it happen, like just I'll even put some music on in the background, like just so as it like it's going on. It's not just like dead quiet venue. But I really push for this first look as like the major tradition changer of everything. But speaking of traditions, are there any other traditions that y'all are either trying to get like say, let's go away from this, or maybe do this more, or like first looks, maybe think something I'm not considering that y'all do as a photo video?
I love when they read their vows to each other at the first look, like
Yeah.
or
I do
a
too.
letter to.
Yes.
Like it's
That's
super
really
sweet,
nice.
and they just get that moment together. I also love personal vows during ceremonies, like and I've always told couples, if you're gonna write personal vows, have somebody else read both y'all's vows, so that way one person isn't like one page and the other person is 10 pages, because that has happened during a ceremony, and then like the other person feels awkward, like, oh, I didn't write it.
I have seen it happen. Yes, and it's like, that was it. Do you want to add anything else?
Yeah. It's like have a third party read them both, just to make
A
sure.
little bit more equal.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people are against the sparklers because they do burn.
Have y'all been burned?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been whipped in the face with a sparkler. Surprisingly, I didn't get burned that time. I don't know how.
Yeah. I've seen 3 people catch on fire from the four.
No way.
Yeah, including the bride. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
From them. But
I think they're going out of style.
Did you
I
catch it on
think
video
they're-
though?
on photo, yes. That was photo day. Yeah. I did get the video of the oh man, yeah, the girl catching on fire, but she doesn't let me show it.
Understandable.
I have like
Understandable.
NDAs now with all of the
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So
Yeah, no, that's really interesting for multiple reasons, because I think that from the photographer's perspective, they see things, and then you see them in post once you are editing, and you're like, that didn't work out as much as people thought it
I do
would.
like the cold sparks. Like
Yes.
that way,
They're nice,
yeah,
yeah.
that way no drunk people have
and
fire.
I do like sparklers and stuff,
Yeah.
but you know,
It's just
the
giving
pictures are nice.
Yeah. It's the whole idea of giving drunk people fire. It's just, it's
Yeah.
not
Oh,
a-
yes.
that's-
Yes. Very
Doesn't
dangerous.
make sense.
And so, people, when they can't have a sparkler exit, they think, okay, what else can we do for an exit? And cold sparks, of course,
Yeah.
is a great alternative. Those are clean burning. You can put your hand into them and it wouldn't burn. But what opportunities don't work out, though? From your
Oh,
perspective of like,
that don't
don't
work
do
out.
this because the photos are not going to look good when it's all said and done. Is there anything like that comes to mind?
There's the wands.
Oh, the
aren't
wand.
as cool as they think.
The light up, like the light up foam wands.
Okay, yeah.
Like they do have the poppers. Those
Yes.
are nice, but like
And the problem with the poppers is the ones that they get tangled in them.
yeah, so that is hard. But
I've
it's
seen
really
this.
fun.
They've
I've
said
seen this.
they get tangled in them.
But
so
it does
that's
look
the problem.
really cool.
Those are the non-mess confetti ones that you're talking about, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because they stick to the
Yeah.
so they're all tangled up in it.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that would be the only
Yeah.
ones. But I've seen like bubbles, which is nice, and then
It helps having a bubble machine.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
that,
it
Yes.
looks
like,
a lot
really-
better because
yeah.
you're waiting for everybody to blow
Yeah.
bubbles. It's like one. Yeah. And then the rose petals.
Oh yeah,
The rose petals are nice.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, because I know I get that question all the time to me. So hopefully we'll make a clip out of this and we could just forward that.
Yeah,
to
there's the rose petals, but the problem with that is I've heard that some places don't like the real ones,
Yeah.
or they get stuck on the ground, and then the other ones are slippery.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
So
the only
it's
things I've heard.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Let me see here. What was I got?
Lavender thrown.
I have seen lavender. I know there's like the biodegradable confetti that a lot of venues force you to have, and because they say, oh yeah, just like you said, the rose petals will leave marks on the ground and
Yep.
stuff like that. So it is pretty interesting. But are there any other traditions, just to make sure that came to mind? I know I kind of brushed over it.
I like that we're moving away from bouquet and garter toss.
Oh
Same.
my gosh. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Just because it always like, I mean, even as when I was this like single woman, you don't want to be pulled up and be like, look here, everyone, look at all the single, look, yep, I'm single, unless there are some weddings where it's just like a really fun group and they're really cool and they're just like all going with it. So it can be, but 99% of the time,
It's not.
it just is awkward.
Yeah, it's a little
It really
awkward.
is. I'd say it's like the worst part of the whole night. It's like pulling teeth. These
Yeah.
guys are
Yeah.
not going to go out
And
there.
the poor
Yeah.
DJ,
Oh
y'all
my
are
gosh.
like trying to
Come
get
on, guys. We just need one picture.
we'll get the party back started.
It's the worst. But yeah, I always try to go that direction
Yeah.
if I can.
Yeah.
As well. Maybe just bouquet toss only. You know? But yeah, there's been so many changes that have happened over time. But most importantly, y'all's businesses have obviously had huge changes from when y'all started to today. What are kind of the major changes that you would say have taken place from beginning to now 2023?
I think figuring out what packages to offer, like for me specifically, because at the beginning we would have like 3 photo packages, 3 video, and then 3 photo and video, and it was just I felt like it was a lot for couples, and so for us we just then went straight to 1 photo package, 1 video package, 1 photo and video, and because we've also found like we offer customized coverage, it's like up to 10 hours, because I found like that like allows us to like figure out a timing for, because each wedding is different in how much time they need, and I think that helps. And so then it's not this shell game of like what package works, or
Yeah. I think for me, it's helped knowing people in the industry and knowing who I trust for, second shooting or a lead video, things like that. Obviously equipment's changed too, and trying to keep up with that constantly.
Yeah.
But no, back to like trusting, vendors and things like that, knowing what to expect, and actually paying them more, because you definitely want the quality.
Oh, for
you
sure,
want
yeah.
You want the best in the industry, and so I want my business to reflect that. So if it's going to reflect that, I'm going to hire the best in the industry, at that price, So I think that's what changed, is I'm not so cheap anymore too,
Yeah.
So I want to have my clients to have the best experience.
Oh yeah, I feel the same way. That is so important to making sure that the quality is there,
Yeah.
and you can rely on them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the trust of it, and knowing that they can read a room. I don't know why this is very important.
It is.
Because if
On
you're
wedding days?
just like focused on your vision, then it's not, and you're a very good videographer, but you're focused on your vision, like I can't have you. Like I need someone that the client is going to love too.
So true. That personality aspect of having the, what do you call it, like customer service, customer relations, but really it is like you gotta have a vibe. You gotta have some type of vibe that makes it fun and approachable.
And it can't be like annoying either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you can't be
exactly.
too much, because
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they're gonna be like, okay, like I need
Simmer
a
down
minute.
now. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Or
that
like stop
fine
talking. You need to
balance.
find,
It
where
is
like
so
you're cool.
true.
Yeah. So that's a really important.
Yeah.
And so, in the business aspect of it all, for the uninitiated and people who don't know what type of styles are out there or what main questions you should be asking your photographer, videographer, can y'all kind of give me an idea of how you describe your own style, but then most importantly, like what major questions you wish people would ask you, rather than, and how many, this or this and this, and kind of like the stuff that you can find on the fact page, I guess.
Yeah.
What is it from kind of like, can you kind of give me the overall, both of y'all's? I don't know if it's the same, but I feel like it is.
Yeah, well, yeah, we have a little bit of different styles, but then we also adapt to each other's styles. She's working for me, she's going to do my style. I'm working for her, I'm going to do her style.
Yeah.
So we have our settings right, we have our vision, aligned. Mine is more documentary, true to life colors, and just kind of, we're using our long lenses and doing things from afar. Making sure that you're capturing those real images, those real moments. And then there's also the light and airy. There's also the moody styles, the more posed and dramatic edits and things like that. But I'll let you describe your company.
Ours, like light and airy, and then just definitely like documentary of like I'm not forcing, I'm not
gonna
creating
stage
a-
you.
yeah, I'm
and
not
tell
gonna
you
stage
like
it.
what
Yeah,
to
it's-
say. Or,
yeah.
do it again. You know, things like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So
Oh my
we're
gosh, I
gonna
can't
let it
imagine.
happen.
Candid, very candid.
Yeah, candid. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, for sure.
Natural, organic.
And so, obviously, light and airy is kind of a popular style. Dark and moody is another one. But do you ever get clients that ask you to do the opposite of your like style that
Yeah,
you put out there?
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. I wouldn't expect that.
Which is fun. I think
Yeah,
it's cool.
yeah.
Like I'm like, oh yeah, something different. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that because I do that for myself too. I'll do light and airy, or I'll do it, dark and moody. And so if somebody wants that, I'm like, perfect. I have like a vision for you, and usually their wedding day kind of mocks what their vision is too. So it works out, and it's a fun. Like I love something different.
Yeah.
Breaking out of the usual.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same thing as like a DJ when someone's like, "Hey, I want like an '80s alternative set or something like that." I'm
Yeah,
like,
something different. I haven't
okay,
heard this.
okay, I can do it, but like I never get asked to do this. This is
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah.
I have such a fun time doing different styles as well for DJing, so I completely see where that comes from. But people ask me, when they come to me as a DJ, they have like a sheet that they probably would have found off of Google of like, just these questions. But when people are interviewing you guys, are they already set? Are they just like, okay, we're gonna book you, or are you like giving them a lot of information that what you're doing?
I think a lot of them come in pretty clueless, and they're like, I've never done this before.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what to ask you. And I think for me, a lot of the questions are, besides obvious, like, how did you meet? And I want to know the couple a little bit more. And every couple is so interesting to me, and how they met, and how, what they love about each other and things like that I can incorporate in the video. But I forgot where I was going with this. And
What questions
that they should
couples
ask. I think it's important to know your timeline. So I kind of help them create a timeline,
yes,
a very
yes.
rough draft of, okay, what time do you want the ceremony? Do you want it like at sunset? Do you want it, are you doing a first look? That's so important.
So important.
How many bridesmaids and groomsmen do you have? How big is this guest list? Those are vital into your timeline also, because we need to make sure that we have enough time to do your wedding shots and your bridal shots and, wedding party and things like that. So that's really important on your timeline. One time I had a bride book me in California, and she didn't realize like the time change, but also the
She
didn't realize
daylight
the
savings time. Is that what you're talking about?
daylight savings time, and it was like in December in California, and it was her wedding was in the dark. It was at 5 o'clock. She just did a standard 5 o'clock ceremony time, and it was pitch black. Like
Outside.
sunset was at 4. Yeah, and so I had to like bring lights and set up lights
Oh
and
my
stuff, and
gosh.
she was like, I
even
can't
think
just,
about
I
it.
didn't
Yeah.
even think about it. And I was like, but if you hired me before, we'd go over your timeline. Your coordinator should probably know this too. And that's another thing. I'm pretty sure you're the same way, but I don't book you cannot book unless you have a coordinator, and one that usually that I prefer. Because if it's just your friend, oh, my friend's doing this. No.
Don't do it. Don't
Yeah,
do
don't
it.
do it. Don't have a friend do it, anything of your wedding, unless they're professional at it.
Yes.
If they're professional at it, then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
There's some exceptions, of course, but yeah, no, I think that's so important. Yes,
Yeah.
having because I
'Cause then
didn't
you
put
turn
together
into
that
the
you're
coordinator.
you're like the timeline creator is just as much as the coordinator is,
Right.
because you're basing it around how much time you need to take all
Exactly.
these photos.
And a lot of the coordinator will tell that to you. Just be like, hey, you tell me what you need, and then I'll base it off of that.
That's really cool. I never thought of how
Yeah,
important
it's
that
really
is
a lot
to
about
what
the
you do.
sunset.
Yeah,
The sunset depends
time.
on, like, that's where your base is on.
I start like all the initial call when they're talking. I'm like, okay, like, have you thought about a ceremony time? And if they're like, yes or no, I'm like, well, I've already looked at what their sunset time
Yep.
is on that day. And,
And
I'm
this
like,
is
hey,
what I
by the way,
recommend
this
to
is,
you, yeah.
like,
Yeah, so sunset's important.
yeah, yeah, just light.
Yeah.
Well, then, so a lot of the times, too, people won't anticipate a lot of things like we're kind of talking about here, and I feel like for sure, there's a few things in the contract that people might gloss over or not think of. One of the most reoccurring stories I hear of, at least, is that the couple didn't expect to have a vendor meal for the photographer, but they don't think as well, your photographer, your videographer is going to be there probably the longest out of any other vendor that you hire, and most importantly, they're probably going to be starving by the time. I've heard so many horror stories, but they're kind of like bigger talking points that you give them, like, make sure I have this, or don't forget to read
Not
that.
at that point. I feel like we have the coordinators that we're working with, they already know
So
those
professional,
things.
yeah.
And they already know, and they take care of that, and they say, hey, how many people do you have, and what are their dietary restrictions? Also, it's in my contract that we eat what you eat. it's all laid out on there. And I also put on the contract that we don't film you while you eat. Like nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Not cute.
Yeah.
Ever.
Usually people are just staring at you. Like if you have your camera in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I promise I'm just waiting for the next event. I'm not filming you.
So, I think.
One thing I always tell couples when they're looking for a photographer and videographer is ask to see like full galleries and full films.
Yes.
Because anybody can look good on social media with a couple of photos.
You have 5,000 photos. You're going to get one good one you're going to put on social media.
Yeah.
Don't base it off of that. Look at the entire gallery. This is so important. It is really hard to find. Like, most photographers can do great in the daylight. How can you do it at the reception? Look at their reception photos.
I've seen this.
Look at their reception photos because there's a few different ways you can do reception photos, a lot of different ways, but make sure that you like their reception photos, like their style.
Yeah.
Because that will really tell, like, do they know how to work a camera?
I didn't even think about that. And I've seen events where they'll have two separate photographers, one for reception, one for... Now it's all coming
That
together.
makes sense. You got your natural light photographers, and then you got your specialty.
That's so cool. And I know the whole situation exists with videography as well. Of what type of lighting are they going to bring in? Are they the giant spotlights? Are they the giant LED panels? And as a DJ, I'm worried for my dance floor.
That's a great question to ask as a bride or a groom. Ask them, what kind of lighting are you bringing? Because it's going to it's either going to ruin the mood or add to the mood of the DJ too. The dance floor.
So true. And I know some cameras can deal better in low lighting than others can.
Honestly, all of them now can do good.
Really well,
Pretty much all. Unless you have like some older cameras, but pretty much all. Like I personally don't really set up lights on the dance floor unless I have to, because like I don't want to ruin the dance.
They pay so much money on lighting,
and especially if they have up lighting and all those things.
I usually bring it in, but it depends on the situation too. If they're doing like speeches and things like that,
then we'll do it. But once it to the fun dancing,
it's so important to have it for even the cake as well. Like I feel like lighting is needed just to make things look better. I'm even saying like, hey, do you want to consider like a pin spot for this or up lighting to like have on the back wall? Because I value lighting so much too as a DJ. I've seen it like in multiple venues where it's not requested, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it needed that extra pop when it got dark in that room.
And we appreciate that.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. So we're about to wrap up the episode, of course, but we have one final question that we're going to ask in a second. If you enjoyed the episode, please don't forget to give us a review, like it, whatever it could be. Share it. We'll be creating reels as well that we'll share from this episode itself. But one of the biggest questions I love talking about is because I love seeing some unique ideas that happen at weddings or in advance of the wedding. And Lauren, you have such a cool story that you have for your engagement situation recently. Well, Lauren L was there and helping orchestrate it all behind the scenes. Can you kind of tell us about this story? It is so cool. It's a viral video. We'll share the link or something below. But go ahead. Yeah, I'd love hearing about this.
Lauren L knows a little bit more about it because she was talking to my fiance the whole time, and I had no idea. And he was supposed to be, he was in Asia, and he was supposed to be there for another week. And so apparently he flew home a week early and was in communication with Lauren the whole time. I think your
we had been, we actually had each other's names saved in our phones as different because we've been texting for like 2 months leading up to it. And I'd be like, are you with Lauren? Like, we would have like code terms of like if we could talk.
Her name was like John or something.
Like literally, And
so at one point I almost caught on, but I was like, oh wait, he's gonna be in Asia.
We were at lunch.
She told me this elaborate lie of like, so she wanted me to film. She was like, hey, I have a friend from college. He is going to propose to his girlfriend on the top of the 360 bridge, or that cliff. And then she was like, do you want to come film it with me? And so I was like, yeah, I can do that date. So she knows when I'm locked in on a date, like I can't, like I will not, unless we're dead, we're not going to show up. So I was like, yeah, I'll go film it with you. And then and it was funny because my fiance was like, hey, don't go, I want to go to the Pennybacker Bridge with you. Like, that'll be a first for us. We've never been there. And then I was like, hey, I got a job there. You know, I'm really sorry. You know, and then like he's like, no, it's fine. Just send me like videos from up there.
Yeah,
and
she's
stuff.
like filming
So
videos.
I'm up there filming, and like I had no
Sending
idea.
it to him.
Yeah. So she wanted me.
I love the first photo I saw. You're just like, I think it was raining that day or something.
Oh,
in mine. It was cold.
30 degrees.
It was 30 degrees, and you're just like,
I had so many layers on. Oh my gosh. And I didn't put on
When-
any makeup.
no.
This girl, that's how you know I had no idea.
yeah,
When she
yeah,
got my
yeah.
car,
That's the
yeah.
proof.
When she got my car, because I picked her up to go, I like saw what she was wearing, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
She's like,
she-
this is happening. This is
she's
her.
like, is she gonna kill me for looking like
she
this?
would-
being-
you looked at
getting
me like-
engaged? I literally, I was like, "Wow, it's happening."
Yeah, it's
happening
happening
this way.
regardless. Yeah, this is what's
Yeah.
what she got. But yeah, so she was like, okay, we're gonna film this guy, and I was like, it was like
I was
raining,
having
and
you
I was like,
photograph it, and I was filming it.
yeah, and I was like,
filming it. I was
wow.
actually.
She was actually photographing. And so when we got there, it was 30 degrees and like raining. I was like, wow, like this guy's like dedicated. And I told her, I was like, I would not even do this for myself. I would tell this person like, this is dangerous. You know, we shouldn't be doing this. And I'm
These are the
such a-
conversations y'all are having before it all happens.
Yeah. And so, and then that morning I told my kids, like I was taking him to grandma's house, and I was like, Mom's going up that slippery rock, you know, up there. I was like, I hope I don't fall, you know, just like joking with them. And they're like, oh my gosh, Mom, like, it's so horrible. And they didn't know that they were also driving there. So my kids drove there, went there, and then they saw the rock that Mommy might fall off of. And they were like, I don't want to go up there. My oldest is terrified of heights. And he was like, I do not want to go up there. Mom just told me not to do this, you know? And so they're crying.
Yeah.
They're on the downstairs, and they don't know what is going on. My parents didn't tell them.
Yeah,
And
'cause
then
they
That was smart though,
Well, yeah,
because
they
they're
were
young,
worried,
right?
Yeah. And so Nick
Romeo
shows
and
up.
Theo.
Romeo and Theo.
And
yeah.
how old are they each?
They're 8 and 6.
8 and 6. Okay, so
yeah,
yeah,
they were like,
I don't know if I trust them with a
Yeah,
secret
yeah,
yet.
Yeah. And so then Nick shows up, and they're like, what is going on? I thought he was in Asia, you know, and things like that. And so there's the video that my brother happened to catch, and Lauren already had him mic'd up. And he's asking my kids' permission.
That was.
It's really sweet.
And
Yeah.
the
Oh my
fact-
God, I'm getting goosebumps
The
again thinking
fact
about
that
that.
your brother like started filming
Yeah,
it,
that wasn't
like,
planned.
yeah.
He was just in the car next to him, and he jumped out and he started recording.
I was gonna ask
Yeah.
because so obviously it was YouTube, but you didn't have a second.
Yeah, and my
backup.
husband had come to
Oh, okay,
film it.
Okay.
And then also because I was like, because it was my friend getting married, I was like, my brain was kind of off that day, and I had forgotten another tripod. And so we got up there, and I was like, oh my God. And I turned to my husband, I was like, you're going to have to go handheld on a 70 to 200, which it's heavy. And like, it's even hard just doing photos.
And it's cold.
It's
it was
cold.
so cold,
Yes.
so you can't help but be shaking.
So props to him, and props to him because he killed it.
did a
Like,
great job.
but he's like, I was so shaky. I was like, you did way better than I would have done.
Yeah,
Okay, like,
yeah, anybody.
So,
anybody.
yeah.
On a cliff,
yeah,
slippery cliff.
slippery cliff, raining.
Yeah. So yeah, and then
Your son's like.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Please,
So I'm just up there like filming, and I'm just like, oh, he must love her so much. Oh my God, this is crazy. Like, who would do this?
Yeah.
You know, but it was nice. We had the whole place to ourselves.
Yeah,
and
that
stuff.
was actually that worked
Yeah.
out
Oh, yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
There was no one.
Yeah, it was a
surprisingly
Saturday.
no one else up there. I don't know why
30
not.
degrees.
Yeah.
So then she went down to mic him up, and my whole family was down there too, and I had no idea. And so she comes back up, and she's just like a hot mess here. She was,
'Cause
like,
I was like,
dude, do you want my hat? And she's like, no, just stand over there. And like I was like standing on the cliff, like posing and being
Yeah.
stupid. Like
I
we
was
always are.
trying to tell her, like,
Yeah.
because I wanted to get her in one shot, and I was like, hey, will you I need to get this camera set. Like, just
Yeah.
stand there. And then she, like, kept turning and moving, and she's like, they're coming. And I'm like, yeah, but stay there.
I know. I was like that they're coming up, and you know, and so
I need to get out the way.
I was in total
Yeah.
shock when he came up. That I like you see my face. I was like, what?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
did he teleport? That's all I could think of. Like he just teleported. And then I saw my kids. I was like, I just dropped them off. You know what I mean? And then I was just like, wait. Hold a second. Is it me?
It's just for me.
What? Yeah. And so I walked over there. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I was just like in total shock. And then I looked at her. I was like, you jerk. You've been lying to me this whole time. So it was pretty good.
Well,
It was
great
good.
job, Lauren L, for orchestrating
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And congratulations to Nick for doing a successful proposal without any spoilers given. That was.
It's hard to
truly
surprise
incredible.
her.
And
Like, it
especially
is.
the pre-video of him asking your kids when they're like terrified of the heights already. But like knowing that now is even more cool that your kids got it in them and they went up the
Yeah.
hill to go be a
Yeah.
part of that
Yeah.
moment. I'm sure that's like core memory right there.
Yeah,
For them.
I mean, yeah, and they're very proud of it. They're very excited. So,
Well,
but yeah,
congratulations.
thank you.
Yes. And then you're getting married in December 2023, later this year in
Yep.
Mexico. That
Yep.
sounds like it's going to be so much fun.
It will be. I hope so.
That's how I would do it. So I
Yes.
can't blame you
Yep.
there. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that story. Like I said, one of the coolest proposals I've seen, and it just like I felt so proud to know you as a friend, and just amazed at the moment. Are there any other, outside of your own story, are there any other unique or special weddings that come to mind that made an impact on you in the same kind of core memory way?
I think the one you were saying, right?
Yeah, the one that where they moved it up because the bride had cancer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other.
I know we're not good at this. There's just so like every wedding has like a different, something that stood out about it, and something that made it unique. And every bride or even mother of the bride, they'll come to me with things that I had no idea was happening behind the scenes, and that they're super grateful that we have on film. And
I think it's also what's been cool is I have done, and we both have done, where we've done one of the siblings' weddings and then like the other sibling, and also we've done multiple
Just
of like the
their
family and the fact that because usually when another sibling gets married, you want to do something totally different. And to be asked to come back and to cover that means like, oh man, they really liked what I did and me as a human, and that I get to be a part of their family. And
Yeah.
It's really fun when you go, especially on like the destination weddings, and then they take you and they want you there for the whole trip. You want to document everything of their family so that they trust you and feel like they can be themselves around you. It's a really big honor. I think so too.
Yeah, no, that was a great answer right there for sure. And I really feel it's so cool as a photographer, videographer, that you get to develop these relationships with the couple because you're there, you're going back and forth, you're talking with them. The coordinator too, I'm assuming as well, has a very close relationship. But as a DJ, I don't really get that unless it's like maybe 1 or 2 meetings on the day of, I hope you had fun. But you're like not only seeing them and getting to interact with them, but then you see the photos of them as you edit. So like every person's face, you remember everyone's kind of backstory. It's really something that I envy y'all for having such a cool kind of like
we get
relationship.
close with our
Yeah,
couples.
we do.
Yeah.
I just ran into one the other day at the Mueller's Farmers Market. I was like, I've edited your photo before. I was like, I don't know how. And I was like, have you gone to a wedding? She's like, I was in Mexico. I was like, I shot that wedding. Yeah. So it was like not even in Austin. Yeah. It was
I'm
pretty
looking
fun.
at somebody, a guest, and I'm like,
I've
were
edited
a
your
guest
face,
at were you a guest at this? And they're like,
You were wearing a red dress.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, 'cause we look at them for a long period of time, especially
Yeah.
doing photo or video. Like,
You see them a lot.
That always blows my mind, honestly. But yeah, thank y'all so much for being a part of this podcast. Before we say goodbye to our listeners, is there anything coming up that y'all want to let people know about that you might be doing, or any open houses, anything public?
I know. No, we're just doing weddings
Just
together.
doing our thing.
Well,
Yeah.
just
We're
find
doing
out.
our thing. Yeah.
Yeah, inquire online. They've got some beautiful websites and some awesome galleries that you can check out. Once again, Lauren Maria with Lauren Maria
Photography and Films,
Photography.
yeah.
And then we have Lauren L with ML Photo and Film. Very easy, and once again, we'll link that below. But thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed and took something away from this. But thank you and goodbye.
Awesome. Bye.